Now, First Alert 6 weather. Now, First Alert 6 weather.
Well, hello, everyone. Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord here, and we got quite a day to talk about. Could have the biggest snow we've had so far this season make its way through the area. And if you were watching yesterday, you're probably going, what on earth happened? Well, the track of this one shifted quite a bit. We started to see signs of that changing yesterday afternoon. I wasn't quite believing it off the bat. And then later on in the evening hours yesterday, that became clear that that's where the snow was going to go and include a lot more of our area. And with that, a winter storm warning was issued. And, well, we're here where we are right now talking about the First Alert 6 weather day that we have for today. Snow is likely this afternoon and into the evening, where it's going to be heavy at times. And with that, I think a baseline 3 to 5 inches of snow is what most of us will get near in the metro and near I-80 and north. South of I-80, the totals are going to drop off pretty quickly. You see the range says 3 to 7 right there. That is because there's going to be some pretty intense snow rates, but they're going to be sporadic. There could be some 1 to 2 inch snowfall rates develop in some of these snow showers they're going to build in from the south. And that is what I'm a bit concerned about, and that could bump the totals up to the near the 7-inch range for some select people within the range I'm about to show you, in the area I'm showing you. Plus, we're going to have winds gust to about 25 miles per hour, or 35 miles per hour, and that's going to cause some issues on the roads, even more so, especially when you get into more rural areas. So we're just trying to saturate the atmosphere right now, and that's what we're dealing with, as snow totals in the 3 to 7 inch range are going to be pretty impressive given what the February we've had so far. The wind will be gusting near 35 miles per hour, and the travel conditions are going to be pretty slick with low visibility all across the area as we go deeper into the evening hours. I think that evening commute's not going to be a lot of fun. So you can see how this is starting to develop across the area as of right now, and a lot of the moisture that you are seeing right here just isn't really filling in right now and reaching the ground. So what we're seeing here is this is a lot of virga, or just evaporating as it reaches the ground. This back here is where it is snowing. And if you look, we can show you what this looks like back here near, this is the DOT cam near North Platte. And you can see how this snow is coming down and doing so in a big way. And I can show you here that that is pretty much back to the west. And that is all going to run east right along I-80. And that is what we're going to be dealing with as we go through the course of the day. This will fill in more and more. We'll start to see the snow showers that are developing here on radar actually start to reach the ground. And we're getting some returns down here near Falls City as well, doing the same. And you can see this map will eventually fill in. This is the mode of the radar that'll actually show us what's reaching the ground. This is the radar out near Valley. So if you're not seeing anything within this circle, it's not the Omadome or whatever it gets called. It's the fact that the radar beam is lower to the ground there. So all the moisture is high up in the atmosphere. It's trying to fall, and it's evaporating as it's doing so. So once that starts to fill in, that tells me that the precipitation is actually making it closer and closer to the ground. This little batch here down to the south is interesting. That's starting to fill in a little bit more. If I loop this, you can see how that's starting to fill in down around Falls City and in parts of northeastern Kansas. So that's another aspect to watch with this as it is moving in. over the course of the morning here, and the atmosphere is starting to saturate a little bit. So what I can show you, there's the winter storm alerts that we have. Pink is winter storm warning, and purple is what we call a winter weather advisory. So that winter storm warning was issued yesterday evening around the 9-10 o'clock hour, as it became more evident that we would see this snowfall slice right through our area. And you get outside of that area, that's where the totals will drop off a little bit, but they're still going to be pretty noteworthy. You get south of Nebraska City, Shenandoah, those numbers are going to drop off quite a bit. So as you can see here, 3 to 7 inches of accumulation in the metro. And I know you're saying that's a pretty wide range. Well, that's because there's going to be isolated pockets in here that are going to give us some 1 to 2 inch per hour snow rates that I'm concerned about. So 3 to 5, I think, pretty easily in the blue. And there's going to be isolated little pockets here that could get up to 7 out of this. So that's the same story throughout this entire swath of the dark blue here. You go north of I-80, or north of Takema, north of Denison, that's where the totals will drop off pretty quickly. And you go south of Nebraska City, that's where they're going to drop off pretty quickly. Right through here, 3 to 5 pretty easily. Some isolated up to 7. Honestly, if we get some snowfall rates that are even a little more impressive than what I'm thinking, we could go up near 8 inches in a spot or two. So that's what we're looking at. It is going to be perhaps the most significant snow we've had so far this season. The most we've had out of one storm is 4.3 inches. That was back in late November. Everything else has been kind of small, less than a half an inch for the most part. Temperatures in the 20s right now. It's cold. It's not going to warm up much. We'll get low 30s at best. Wind already starting to kick in. That's going to gust 25 to 35 miles per hour. And those gusts will persist into the evening as the snow is falling. So 25 to 35 miles per hour likely into the evening. But the snow is not going to last all night long. Let me show you kind of how it fills in here. Hopefully none of this updated on me without me knowing. Okay, should be good. We get towards 1 o'clock. Look how the map really starts to fill in with those snow showers that just erupt and fill in by 1, 2 o'clock. That is where we could get some pretty intense snowfall rates right out of the chute. And we could get some numbers that fall at 1 to maybe 2 inches an hour. You can kind of see some deep dark purples in there. And the snow just fills in, and you can see why near and north of I-80 are going to be the best bet for this heavy snow as it moves through. Still some by 6, by 7, right during the heart of the evening commute. And then we go a little further towards 10, starting to wind down, but that'll slide to the east and out of here by midnight. And then it's just windy conditions as the cleanup begins from the snow that is moving through, heading into the early morning hours tomorrow, which will have temperatures in the teens and likely a pretty healthy coating of snow on the ground. Now let's talk about how fast it adds up. I would think by 4 o'clock we're already starting to see some 1s and 2s on the map. It's all going to hinge on where those individual pockets first develop and produce the heavy snow at that 1 to 2 inch per hour rate. And watch how it really fills in then by 6. Could have some 2s, 3s, maybe even some 4s showing up on the map. By 8 to 9, we're talking 3, 4, maybe even isolated 5. You can give or take an inch on these because of those wacky snowfall rates that could really pick up over time. Then by midnight, there's grand total. Again, widespread 3 to 7, but you can see models try to get some isolated higher amounts. Something up near 8 inches of snow would not surprise me in that swath there. And then it moves east and out, and tomorrow starts a lot quieter. So the 10-day forecast will be colder because of that. Teens turn into 30s for afternoon highs, low 30s as a matter of fact. And you can see we'll rebound. The second half of the 10-day forecast actually looks pretty good. Still a taste of some spring there. We're just getting a little 5-day blip of some winter essentially. Then warmer than average weather leading us into early March as well. So let's kind of do a little, see if I can find some cameras where it's actually reaching the ground and show you back here. Look at pretty heavy snow out around North Platte right now. And you can kind of see this little pinwheel motion here. Low pressure's down to the south, and then we're just going to keep feeding the moisture in out ahead of it here. All of this is going to start to fill in with snow, and then it'll start to get interesting as the rates really start to pick up. So let me look here. Where is... I will bring up our DOT cams here. I'm going to see what I can find as far as snowfall. You know what? That's a pretty good one right there. Let me show you. That's a DOT cam out around North Platte. Look at it coming down right there. It's kind of rotating on its own. This is the North Platte, one of the North Platte's exits on I-80. And you can see the snow coming down very, very fast right there. And visibility is greatly impacted as it moves around and rotates a little bit. And so that's what you see out to the west. Let's see if we can find something else here. Where else would be good to look? There we go. We'll look north of North Platte, up around... Yeah, the interstate's probably a little more applicable here. We'll go to the Maxwell exit, a little farther east on North Platte, east of North Platte. I'll wait for this camera to load, and then I'll switch over to it. Some of these work better than others. There we go. There's a live look just east of North Platte at the Maxwell exit on I-80. Coming down very well there and starting to add up on the shoulders and eventually on the interstate itself. So we are in for a day where this is all going to fill in then and march off towards the east. And basically, this whole storm system is going to track east as we go through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. But again, a lot of what you see on radar right here is not reaching the ground over the metro. That's the moisture just filling in over top of the dry air. And then we're going to wait and see all this fill in on radar a little bit better. But we're getting some returns on the radar back here west of York. Most of the good stuff is still west of Kearney, and we'll see that move east and it fill in out ahead of it as well. So there could be a little bit there actually reaching the ground around Falls City down into northeastern Kansas too. So would not be surprised if some of these winter storm warnings get extended a little further east towards Des Moines. But I've had people asking me about travel. I don't think I'd want to be on the interstate, on Interstate 80 in Iowa going towards Des Moines anytime after about 1 o'clock, because the snow bands are going to develop pretty quickly and fill in. So any travel you need to do, especially around the area, it's going to be a lot easier before 1 o'clock. It will get it'll get a lot more difficult the later you go into the afternoon, as we will see this snow really add up, and I think it can do so pretty quickly in some instances here. So 3 to 5 pretty easily, some isolated amounts up near 7 where the snow rates go to 1 to 2 inches per hour at times. And I still think that's very much in play as we see all this progress through. I'm just kind of checking some other sources here for information. Yep, so it still looks like we're just filling in some of the moisture. It's going to be a little bit of a waiting game here for the next 2 to 3 hours. Temperatures will try to warm just a little bit. And we will see if we can add on to this snow pretty quickly. Now, in case anybody was curious, through yesterday with all the mild air, we actually had through the first 18 days of February, this is the warmest start to February on record, 41.4 degrees. So it was a very, very warm start, and now we're going to bring that to an abrupt end and bring some snow into the equation. Wind gusts right now, out of the north, 25 to 35 miles per hour. Those are doing pretty much what we expected. They should be 25 to 35 most of the day into the evening. We'll run through how the timeline plays out. Notice still not much happening by lunch, and then into the afternoon those snow showers start to develop and fill in, and you can see by 2 o'clock decent amount of snow. There's some really heavy snow rates possible as we get closer to 3, with some 1 to 2 inch per hour snow rates possible towards 4 and 5. Some of those start to trend north of I-80, but still coming down at a pretty good clip. And that's going to lead to a messy evening commute all across the area by 7 o'clock, and then deeper into the evening by 10. There's still some snow left over, mostly on the Iowa side, and then that keeps moving out to the east for the rest of the overnight. I think by midnight you can see most of it pretty much done, just some lingering light snow showers or flurries, not tacking too much onto the totals, and then we should be able to catch up pretty well with snow removal. So any of those plow crews or private snow plow contractors that have had a pretty quiet stretch looking to make a little money, this one's for you. You're going to be back in the mix here before you know it. So we're going to leave it at that. Jarrett's going to be talking midday here, streaming in about 45 minutes. And we'll be keeping you posted through the day. Jade and Bo will have all the latest details later on this afternoon with how this is progressing. There's one last look at the snowfall map if you need it. Again, the heaviest is going to be north of I-80 on the Nebraska side and along I-80 on the Iowa side. Getting going mostly after 1 o'clock in the area. So, again, another look off towards, well, we won't do that.